In the dark we roll the dice. No rules, just a high price. Whispers echo in the night. Shadows of a strategized fight. Choose your move, don't look back. Risking wood in a silent track. Players hidden, masks on face. In the boardroom of this ruthless race. Gamble hard, put on disguise. Trust betrayed by piercing eyes. Twisted fate, no one knows. In this game where mystery grows. Risk it or stake the claim. Pawns in an unforgiving game. Clever switches, silent roars. Decisions knocking at the doors. In the labyrinth where paths entwine. Cunning plans and secret signs. One false move and kingdoms fall. Through the maze we heed the call. The call. Choose your move, don't look back. Risk and reward in a silent track. Players hidden, masks on face. In the boardroom of this ruthless race. Choose your move, don't look back. Risk and reward in a silent track. Players hidden, masks on face. In the boardroom of this ruthless race. Gamble hearts, put on disguise. Trust betrayed by piercing eyes. Twisted fate, no one knows. In this game where mystery grows. Risk it or stake the claim. Pawns in an unforgiving game. Clever switches, silent roars. Decisions knocking at the doors. Risk it or stake the claim. Pawns in an unforgiving game. Clever switches, silent roars. Decisions knocking in mystery grows. In the labyrinth where paths entwine. Cutting plans and secret signs. One false move and kingdoms fall. Through the maze we heed the call. Focus sharp and move so sly. Conquering minds beneath the sky. Victory in a shifting land. Held within our grasping hands.
Welcome to the J.O.L.L.F's Introductory Game Theory course. This course will embark on a fascinating journey into the realm of strategic decision-making, where choices are interdependent and outcomes are influenced by the actions of others. We will delve into the core concepts of game theory, a powerful analytical framework with applications spanning economics, political science, biology, and even everyday life. Game theory provides us with a structured approach to understand and predict the behavior of individuals and groups when their choices interact and influence one another. Throughout this course, we will explore fundamental concepts such as game representation. We will learn to represent strategic situations using various models, including normal form games and extensive form games. These models will allow us to visualize the players, their available actions, and the potential payoffs associated with each combination of choices. Solution concepts. We will delve into key solution concepts that help us predict the likely outcomes of games. These concepts include dominant strategies, actions that are always the best choice for a player, regardless of the actions of others. Nash equilibrium, a set of strategies where no player has an incentive to unilaterally deviate from their chosen action, given the choices of the other players. Mixed strategies, situations where players randomly choose between different actions to increase their expected payoff. Applications of game theory. We will explore the diverse applications of game theory in various fields. This will include business, analyzing market competition, pricing strategies, and strategic alliances. Economics, understanding market behavior, auctions, and bargaining. Political science, examining elections, negotiations, and international relations. Biology, modeling animal behavior, evolution, and cooperation. Everyday life, understanding social dilemmas, bargaining situations, and everyday interactions. Through a combination of theoretical lectures, interactive exercises, and real-world case studies, this course will equip you with the critical thinking and analytical skills necessary to identify and analyze strategic interactions, recognizing situations where the decisions of multiple actors are interdependent. Predict and anticipate outcomes, foreseeing the likely consequences of different choices and strategies. Develop effective strategies, formulating and implementing successful strategies in various competitive and cooperative settings. Improve decision-making, applying game theory insights to enhance decision-making in both personal and professional contexts. This course will not only provide you with a solid foundation in game theory but also cultivate valuable skills in critical thinking, problem solving, and strategic analysis. These skills will be invaluable in navigating the complexities of the modern world and succeeding in a wide range of endeavors. We encourage you to actively engage in the course material, participate in class discussions, and explore the many fascinating applications of game theory. We look forward to an enriching and intellectually stimulating learning experience together. Let the games begin. Course syllabus, course title, Introductory Game Theory Course. Instructor, instructor name. Department, department name, J.O.L.A.L.F. Course number, course number. Term, term. Course description. This course provides an introduction to the fundamental concepts and applications of game theory. Game theory is a powerful analytical framework for understanding strategic interactions between decision makers. We will explore how individuals and groups make choices when their outcomes depend on the actions of others. Through a combination of theoretical lectures, interactive exercises, and real-world case studies, students will develop the ability to identify and analyze strategic interactions in various contexts, including business, economics, politics, and everyday life. Predict and anticipate outcomes of strategic decisions, considering the potential actions and reactions of other players. Develop and evaluate effective strategies for achieving desired outcomes in competitive and cooperative settings. Apply game theory concepts to solve real-world problems and improve decision-making in personal and professional contexts. Course objectives. Upon successful completion of this course, students will be able to represent strategic situations using various game theoretic models, including normal form and extensive form games. Understand and apply key solution concepts such as dominant strategies, Nash equilibrium, and mixed strategies. Analyze and predict outcomes in a variety of game theoretic settings, including simultaneous and sequential games. Apply game theory concepts to analyze real-world business and economic problems, such as pricing strategies, market entry, and competition. Critically evaluate the assumptions and limitations of game theory models. Communicate game theoretic concepts effectively in both written and oral formats. Grading, class participation, percentage. Homework assignments, percentage. Midterm exam, percentage. Final exam, percentage. Optional, project presentation, percentage. Grading scale, A, 90 to 100%. B+, 87 to 89%. B, 83 to 86%. B dash, 80 to 82%. C plus, 77 to 79%. C, 73 to 76%. C dash, 70 to 72%. D plus, 67 to 69%. D, 63 to 66%. D dash, 60 to 62%. F, below 60%. Note, this is a sample syllabus and may need to be adjusted to fit the specific requirements and preferences of the J.O.L.A.L.F and the instructor. Key considerations for Week 1, keep it concise, focus on the most essential concepts and avoid overwhelming students with too much information in the first week. Interactive elements, incorporate interactive elements like in-class exercises, short quizzes, or group discussions to enhance student engagement. Real-world examples, use real-world examples to illustrate game theoretic concepts and make the material more relatable to students. Address student questions, be prepared to answer student questions thoroughly and patiently. Case studies, The Prisoner's Dilemma, Scenario, 2 suspects are arrested for a crime. 1 The police lack enough evidence for a conviction and offer each prisoner a deal. 2. If one confesses and the other remains silent, the confessor goes free, and the silent one receives a long prison sentence. 3. If both confess, they both receive a moderate prison sentence. If both remain silent, they both receive a short prison sentence. Game theory concepts. Dominant strategy, confessing is often the dominant strategy for both players, as it minimizes their individual risk regardless of the other's choice. 4. Nash equilibrium, both players confessing is a Nash equilibrium, where neither player can unilaterally improve their outcome by changing their strategy. 5. Suboptimal outcome, while confessing might seem like the best individual choice, it leads to a worse outcome for both players compared to if they had both remained silent. The Battle of the Sexes, Scenario, a husband and wife want to spend the evening together, but they have different preferences. He wants to go to a boxing match, and she wants to attend the ballet. Game theory concepts, multiple Nash equilibria, there are 2 pure strategy Nash equilibria, both going to the boxing match and both going to the ballet. Coordination problem, the couple needs to coordinate their choices to achieve their preferred outcome, but there's no clear incentive for either to compromise. Mixed strategies, in some cases, a mixed strategy randomly choosing between the 2 options might be a more stable solution. The hawk-dove game, Scenario, 2 animals compete for a resource, e.g. food or territory. They can adopt 2 strategies: hawk, fight aggressively, risking injury; dove, display, but retreat if the opponent escalates. Game theory concepts, evolutionary stable strategy S, a mixed strategy playing hawk with a certain probability and dove with the remaining probability can be an S, where no other strategy can invade the population and become more common. Payoff matrix, the payoffs depend on the relative fighting abilities of the animals and the value of the resource. Applications, the hawk-dove game has applications in various fields, including biology, economics, and political science. Pricing games, e.g. Bertrand competition, Scenario, 2 firms compete in a market by setting prices for their identical products. Game theory concepts, price war, if both firms aim to undercut each other's prices to gain market share, they can end up in a price war, driving prices down to marginal cost. Nash equilibrium, in the Bertrand model, the Nash equilibrium occurs when both firms set their price equal to marginal cost. 9. Product differentiation, firms can differentiate their products, e.g. through branding, quality, or features to avoid intense price competition. 10. Advertising games, Scenario, two competing firms decide on their advertising budgets. Point 11. Game theory concepts, advertising war. If both firms increase their advertising spending to gain a competitive advantage, they may end up in an advertising war, with diminishing returns on their investment. Cooperative advertising. In some cases, cooperative advertising, e.g. industry-wide campaigns, can benefit both firms by increasing overall demand. Game theory models. Various game theory models, such as the Cournot model and the Stackelberg model, can be used to analyze advertising competition. The stag hunt scenario. Two hunters can either cooperate to hunt a stag large payoff or individually hunt a hare smaller but guaranteed payoff. Point 1. Game theory concepts, coordination problem. Both hunters must cooperate to successfully hunt the stag. Point 2. Risk of defection. If one hunter defects and hunts the hare while the other hunts the stag hunter gains nothing. Illustrates the importance of trust and cooperation in achieving mutually beneficial outcomes, even when individual incentives may lead to suboptimal results. The ultimatum game scenario. One player, the proposer, is given a sum of money and must propose how to divide it with another player, the responder. Point 3. The responder can either accept or reject the offer. Point 5. If the responder rejects, neither player receives anything. Point 6. Game theory concepts, fairness and equity. While rational choice theory predicts that the proposer should offer a minimal amount and the responder should accept any offer, real-world experiments often show that people value fairness and may reject unfair offers. Point 7. Social norms and preferences. The ultimatum game highlights the role of social norms, emotions, and fairness considerations in decision-making, which are not always captured by purely rational models. Point 8. The matching pennies game scenario. Two players simultaneously choose to show either heads or tails on a coin. Point 9. If the coins match both heads or both tails, player 1 wins. Point 10. If the coins don't match one head and one tail, player 2 wins. Point 11. Game theory concepts, zero-sum game. One player's gain is directly equal to the other player's loss. Point 12. Mixed strategy equilibrium. The only equilibrium in this game involves both players randomly choosing heads or tails with equal probability. 50-50. Point 13. The traveler's dilemma scenario. Two travelers have their luggage damaged by an airline. They independently report the value of their lost items, with a constraint: if their reports differ, the traveler with the lower report receives that amount, and the traveler with the higher report receives that amount minus a penalty. Game theory concepts, dominant strategy. The seemingly rational strategy is to report the minimum claim value, even though this leads to a suboptimal outcome for both players. Paradox. The traveler's dilemma highlights a situation where rational individual choices lead to an inefficient and undesirable outcome for all players. The public goods game scenario. A group of individuals can contribute to a common pool. The total contribution is multiplied by a factor greater than 1, and the resulting sum is then divided equally among all group members. Game theory concepts, free riding. Individuals may be tempted to free ride by contributing nothing, hoping to benefit from the contributions of others. Point 15. Cooperation and social dilemmas. The public goods game illustrates the challenges of achieving collective action and the importance of social norms and mechanisms to encourage cooperation. Key considerations for Week 2 provide clear explanations of game theory concepts, such as dominant strategies, Nash equilibria, mixed strategies, and solution concepts. Emphasize the difference between cooperative and non-cooperative games. Highlight the difference between single-shot and repeated games. Encourage students to think critically about the assumptions and limitations of game theory models. Discuss the relationship between game theory and other economic fields, such as contract theory and mechanism design. Present real-world examples and case studies that illustrate the applications of game theory in various fields like economics, politics, and biology. Case studies: 1. The Cournot-Duopoly scenario. 2 firms compete in a market by simultaneously choosing the quantity of a product to produce. Key concepts: simultaneous move game. Both firms make their production decisions independently and simultaneously. Reaction functions: each firm's optimal output level depends on the output level chosen by the other firm. Nash equilibrium: the Cournot equilibrium occurs when both firms are producing their best response to the other firm's output level. 2. The Stackelberg duopoly scenario. 2 firms compete in a market, but one firm, the leader, chooses its output level first, and the other firm, the follower, observes the leader's choice and then chooses its own output level. Key concepts: sequential move game. The order of play matters significantly. First mover advantage: the leader often has a strategic advantage due to its ability to influence the follower's decision. Backward induction: to find the equilibrium, we work backward from the follower's decision to determine the leader's optimal output level. 3. The repeated prisoner's dilemma scenario. The prisoner's dilemma game is played repeatedly over multiple rounds. Key concepts: cooperation and punishment. Players can develop strategies that reward cooperation and punish defection in subsequent rounds. Tit for tat: a well-known strategy where a player cooperates in the first round and then mimics the opponent's previous move in subsequent rounds. Folk theorems: a set of results that show a wide range of cooperative outcomes can be sustained in repeated games through strategies that punish deviations. 4. The centipede game scenario. 2 players alternately choose to cooperate or defect in a sequential game with increasing payoffs. If both players always cooperate, they reach a high payoff at the end of the game. However, defection at any stage leads to a lower payoff for both players. Key concepts: backward induction. According to backward induction, the rational outcome is for both players to defect at every stage, even though this leads to a suboptimal outcome. Limitations of backward induction: experimental evidence often shows that people do not always behave in accordance with backward induction, suggesting the importance of factors like trust and forward-looking behavior. 5. The matching pennies game with mixed strategies scenario. Review, recap: the matching pennies game, player 1 wins if the coins match, player 2 wins if they don't. Mixed strategies: introduce the concept of mixed strategies where players randomly choose between different actions with certain probabilities. Calculate mixed strategy equilibrium. Demonstrate how to calculate the mixed strategy equilibrium for the matching pennies game, where both players should randomly choose heads or tails with equal probability 50-50. 1. The trust game scenario. Player A, the truster, decides how much money to invest with player B, the trustee. Player B then decides how much of that money to return to player A. Key concepts: cooperation and betrayal. The game explores the dynamics of trust and potential betrayal. 1. Reciprocity. Successful outcomes often rely on reciprocal behavior, where trust is rewarded with trustworthiness. 2. Applications. The trust game has applications in various fields, including economics, e.g. lending and borrowing, social psychology, and even international relations. 2. The dictator game scenario. 1 player, the dictator, is given a sum of money and has the sole power to decide how much, if any, of that money to give to another player, the recipient. 3. Key concepts: altruism and fairness. The dictator game provides insights into individual preferences for fairness and altruism. 4. Power and inequality. It highlights how power imbalances can influence decision-making and resource distribution. Limitations. The dictator game may not fully capture real-world situations where social norms and reputational concerns play a role. 3. The volunteer's dilemma scenario. a group of individuals face a collective action problem. A certain number of individuals must volunteer to perform a necessary task, e.g., cleaning up a public space. If enough people volunteer, everyone benefits. However, if too few people volunteer, everyone suffers. Key concepts: free-riding. Individuals may be tempted to free-ride by not volunteering, hoping that others will bear the burden. Coordination problem. The challenge lies in coordinating individual actions to achieve the desired collective outcome. Applications. The volunteer's dilemma has applications in various contexts, such as public health, e.g. vaccination, environmental protection, and community service. For the war of attrition scenario, two players compete for a resource, e.g. a territory, a mate by expending effort, e.g. time, resources. The player who persists the longest wins the resource. Key concepts: mixed strategy, equilibrium. The equilibrium often involves a mixed strategy where players randomly choose how long to persist. Uncertainty and risk. The outcome of the game depends on the relative persistence of the players, creating uncertainty and risk. Applications. The war of attrition has applications in various fields, including animal behavior, industrial organization, and international relations, e.g. arms races. 5. The beauty contest game scenario. Players are asked to choose a number between 0 and 100. The player whose number is closest to 2/3 of the average of all the chosen numbers wins a prize. Key concepts: higher order thinking. Players must anticipate the choices of other players, leading to a complex process of iterated reasoning. Strategic uncertainty. The outcome of the game depends on the collective behavior of all players, making it difficult to predict the optimal strategy. Applications. The beauty contest game provides insights into financial markets, economic bubbles, and other situations where collective behavior and expectations play a crucial role. Key considerations for Week 3. Explore other game theoretic models beyond those already discussed. Discuss the challenges and limitations of applying game theory in real-world situations. Examine ethical and moral implications of game theory applications. Introduce methods for analyzing games with more than 2 players. Explore the relationship between game theory and related fields such as artificial intelligence, philosophy, and behavioral economics. Case studies. 1. The coordination game with multiple equilibria. Scenario: imagine a town where residents need to decide which side of the road to drive on. Payoffs: highest payoff, everyone drives on the same side. Lowest payoff, everyone drives on different sides, chaos and accidents. Key concepts: multiple Nash equilibria. There are 2 Nash equilibria, everyone drives on the right and everyone drives on the left. Coordination problem. The challenge lies in coordinating everyone's choices to converge on a single equilibrium. Social norms. Social norms and conventions often play a crucial role in resolving coordination problems. 2. The tragedy of the commons. Scenario: a shared resource, e.g. a pasture, a fishing ground is available to multiple users. Each user has an incentive to exploit the resource as much as possible, leading to overexploitation and eventual depletion. Key concepts: collective action problem. Individual incentives conflict with the collective good. Sustainability. The tragedy of the commons highlights the importance of sustainable resource management strategies. Point 1. Applications. This model has broad applications in environmental issues, e.g. deforestation, overfishing, resource management, and even social dilemmas like traffic congestion. Point 2. 3. Network games. Scenario: consider social networks where individuals form connections with each other. Key concepts: network effects. The value of a network to an individual increases as more people join the network. Point 3. Tipping points. how small changes in network structure can lead to dramatic shifts in behavior. Applications, analyzing the spread of information, the adoption of new technologies e.g. social media platforms, and the dynamics of social movements. Point 4. 4. Evolutionary game theory. Scenario, consider the evolution of animal behavior, such as the frequency of different mating strategies in a population. Key concepts, replicator dynamics, how the frequencies of different strategies change over time based on their relative payoffs. Evolutionary stable strategies S, strategies that, once adopted by a majority of the population, cannot be invaded by other strategies. Applications, understanding the evolution of cooperation, altruism, and other social behaviors in biological systems. 5. Mechanism design. Scenario, how can we design institutions or mechanisms to achieve specific social or economic goals, e.g. designing auctions to maximize revenue, creating incentives for individuals to reveal their true preferences. Key concepts, reverse game theory, instead of analyzing existing games, we design games to achieve desired outcomes. Applications, designing efficient auctions, creating incentives for information sharing, and developing mechanisms for allocating scarce resources. 1. The centipede game with imperfect information. Scenario, similar to the original centipede game, but with a twist. At each stage, one player has imperfect information about the other player's previous decision. Key concepts, information asymmetry, the presence of imperfect information can significantly alter the dynamics of the game. Beliefs and expectations, players must form beliefs about the other player's actions based on limited information. Applications, this model has applications in various real-world situations where information is incomplete or asymmetric, such as negotiations, financial markets, and political campaigns. 2. The hoteling model. Scenario, 2 ice cream vendors must choose locations on a beach to maximize their profits. Point 1. Key concepts, spatial competition, players compete for customers based on their location. Differentiation, firms often differentiate their products or services to avoid direct competition. Applications, this model has applications in various industries, such as retail, transportation, and political campaigning. 3. The repeated games with discounting. Scenario, players interact repeatedly, but with a discount factor that reflects the diminishing value of future payoffs. Key concepts, time horizon, the length of the game and the discount factor can significantly impact the equilibrium outcomes. Sustainability of cooperation, cooperation may be more difficult to sustain in games with a shorter time horizon or a higher discount factor. Applications, this model has applications in various fields, such as economics, finance, and environmental policy. 4. The Folk theorem with imperfect monitoring. Scenario, players interact repeatedly, but with imperfect information about the other player's actions. Key concepts, punishment mechanisms, players can develop punishment mechanisms to deter deviations from cooperative behavior, even with imperfect information. Equilibrium refinements, various refinements of the Folk theorem can be used to narrow down the set of possible equilibrium outcomes. Applications, this model has applications in various fields, such as international relations, organizational behavior, and environmental policy. 5. The J.O.L.F bar problem. Scenario, a popular bar can only accommodate a certain number of patrons. If too many people go to the bar, it will be overcrowded and unpleasant. If too few people go, it will be underutilized. Key concepts, coordination and common knowledge, players must coordinate their choices based on their expectations of other players' behavior. Bounded rationality, real-world behavior may not always conform to the predictions of game theory models. Point 2. Applications. This model has applications in various fields, such as economics, sociology, and even traffic engineering. Midterm exam. Instructions. This exam consists of 2 parts. Part 1, short answer 50 points. Answer all questions concisely and accurately. Define key terms and provide relevant examples. Part 2, essay 50 points. Write a well-structured essay addressing the prompt provided. Support your arguments with evidence and examples. Demonstrate a clear understanding of game theory concepts and their relationship to linguistics. Part 1, short answer 50 points. Define game theory and provide 2 examples of real-world situations where it can be applied. Explain the concept of a Nash equilibrium and its significance. What is the difference between a dominant strategy and a Nash equilibrium? Describe the prisoner's dilemma and explain its key features. What is a mixed strategy? Provide an example. Explain the concept of payoff matrix and how it is used in game theory. What is the difference between a cooperative and a non-cooperative game? Define backward induction and explain its role in sequential games. How can game theory be used to analyze language acquisition? Discuss the role of communication and negotiation in game theory. Part 2, essay 50 points. Prompt. Language is a complex system of communication that can be analyzed through the lens of game theory. Explore how game theory can be applied to understand various aspects of language use, such as language acquisition. How do children learn to use language effectively in social interactions? Language change. How do new linguistic features emerge and spread within a community? Communication strategies. How do speakers strategically use language to achieve their communicative goals? Key considerations for Week 4, Game Theory in Other Fields, Beyond Language. Explore how game theory can be applied in other fields, such as economics and finance. How game theory helps analyze market dynamics and strategic decision-making. Political science. How game theory explains international relations and political behavior. Psychology. How game theory sheds light on decision-making, social cooperation, and trust. Computer science and artificial intelligence. How game theory can be applied to machine learning, artificial intelligence, and game design. 2 limitations and challenges. Investigate the limitations and challenges of applying game theory in each of these fields. Discuss potential pitfalls, such as unrealistic assumptions, the difficulty of collecting data, and the complexity of real-world scenarios. 3 current research and future directions. Explore current research areas and future directions of game theory in these disciplines. Discuss the latest developments and how they might impact society and our understanding of human behavior. Case studies. 1. Economics and finance. Case study, the stock market crash of 1987. Black Monday. Point 1. Game theory application. Analyze the stock market as a complex system with many interacting agents, investors, traders, institutions. Point 2. Game theory can help model the dynamics of herd behavior, panic selling, and the spread of market rumors, potentially contributing to a better understanding of the factors that led to the crash. Limitations. Unpredictability. The stock market is inherently unpredictable, influenced by a multitude of factors beyond rational economic behavior, e.g. emotions, investor sentiment. Point 3. Information asymmetry. Information about company performance and market trends is often asymmetrically distributed among investors, making it difficult to model real-world scenarios accurately. Current research. Research focuses on developing more sophisticated models that incorporate behavioral factors, network effects, and the role of information technology in financial markets. 2. Political science, international relations. Case study, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Game theory application, model the Cuban Missile Crisis as a game of chicken between the US and the Soviet Union. Point 4 Analyze the strategies and threats employed by both sides, the potential for escalation, and the factors that ultimately led to a peaceful resolution. Limitations, rationality assumption. The assumption of rational actors may not always hold true in high-stakes international conflicts, where emotions, political pressures, and misperceptions can play a significant role. Incomplete information. Information about the intentions and capabilities of adversaries is often incomplete and uncertain, making it difficult to accurately predict outcomes. Current research focuses on incorporating factors such as reputation, commitment, and the role of communication in international relations, as well as developing models that account for the impact of domestic politics and public opinion. 3. Psychology, decision-making under risk. Case study, the ultimatum game and its variations. Game theory application, analyze how factors such as fairness, social norms, and emotional responses influence decision-making in the ultimatum game. Point 6 Investigate how individual differences in personality, culture, and cognitive abilities affect gameplay. Limitations, ecological validity. The ultimatum game is a simplified laboratory experiment, and its results may not always generalize to real-world situations. Bounded rationality. Human decision-making is often influenced by cognitive biases and heuristics, which are not always captured by traditional game theory models. Current research explores the role of emotions, social norms, and cultural factors in decision-making, as well as the impact of neurobiological factors on gameplay. 4. Computer science and AI, game playing. Case study, the development of AI systems that can play complex games like chess, Go, and poker. Game theory application. Game theory provides a framework for analyzing gameplay, identifying optimal strategies, and developing AI algorithms that can effectively compete against human opponents. Limitations, computational complexity. Analyzing and solving complex games can be computationally challenging, requiring significant processing power and sophisticated algorithms. Unpredictability. Human opponents are unpredictable and can exhibit irrational or emotional behavior, making it difficult for AI systems to anticipate their actions. Current research focuses on developing AI systems that can learn and adapt to new situations, exhibit human-like creativity and intuition, and play cooperative games effectively. 5. Evolutionary biology, the evolution of cooperation. Case study, the evolution of altruistic behavior in social animals, e.g. bees, ants, humans. Game theory application. Evolutionary game theory can be used to model the evolution of cooperative behaviors, such as kin selection, reciprocal altruism, and group selection. Limitations, complexity of biological systems. Biological systems are complex and influenced by a multitude of factors beyond simple game theoretic interactions. Assumptions. Evolutionary game theory often relies on simplifying assumptions about the environment, the fitness landscape, and the behavior of organisms. Current research explores the role of genetic factors, environmental factors, and social learning in the evolution of cooperation, as well as the implications for human behavior and social organization. 1. Social dilemmas in environmental policy. Scenario: climate change presents a classic social dilemma. Individual countries may prioritize short-term economic growth over long-term environmental sustainability, leading to collective inaction and catastrophic consequences. Point 1. Game theory application. Analyze international climate negotiations as a multiplayer game with complex payoffs. Point 2. Model the incentives for countries to cooperate, mitigate emissions, or defect-free ride on the efforts of others. Challenges: uncertainty. The long-term consequences of climate change are uncertain, making it difficult to accurately assess the costs and benefits of different mitigation strategies. Point 3. Time horizons. The benefits of climate action may accrue over long periods, while the costs are often immediate, creating a conflict between short-term and long-term interests. Point 4. Equity. The equitable distribution of costs and benefits among countries is a major challenge in international climate negotiations. Point 5. 2. Network effects and social media. Scenario. The growth and dominance of social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Game theory application. Analyze network effects, where the value of a platform increases as more users join. Point 6. Model the strategic decisions of users to join a particular platform, considering factors like network size, features, and the presence of friends and family. Challenges. Lock-in effects. Once a platform achieves a dominant position, it can be difficult for new entrants to compete, creating a potential for market dominance and reduced consumer choice. Point 7. Data privacy and security. The collection and use of user data by social media platforms raise significant ethical and privacy concerns, creating a complex interplay between user behavior, platform incentives, and regulatory frameworks. Point 8. The spread of misinformation. The rapid spread of misinformation and fake news on social media platforms poses significant challenges to democratic discourse and public trust. Point 9. 3. Patent races and innovation. Scenario. Companies competing to develop and patent new technologies, e.g. pharmaceuticals, software. Game theory application. Model the strategic decisions of firms regarding research and development investment, patent applications, and licensing agreements. Analyze the incentives for innovation, the potential for patent races and their impact on competition and consumer welfare. Challenges. Information asymmetry. Firms often have incomplete information about the progress and strategies of their competitors. Point 10. Path dependence. Early decisions regarding research and development can have long-term consequences, making it difficult to adjust strategies in response to changing market conditions. Ethical considerations. The patenting system can create barriers to innovation and access to essential medicines, raising ethical concerns about the balance between incentivizing innovation and ensuring public access. Point 11. 4. Signaling games in the labor market. Scenario. Job seekers signal their skills and abilities to potential employers through education, work experience, and other credentials. Point 12. Employers, in turn, try to interpret these signals to identify the most qualified candidates. Key concepts. Signaling. Individuals use costly signals, e.g. obtaining a degree, to convey information about their abilities to potential employers. Point 13. Credibility. The effectiveness of a signal depends on its cost and its ability to distinguish high-quality workers from low-quality workers. Applications. Understanding signaling games in the labor market can help explain phenomena such as educational attainment, wage differentials, and the role of credentials in the job market. Point 14. 5. Algorithmic pricing and dynamic pricing. Scenario. Online platforms and businesses use algorithms to dynamically adjust prices based on factors such as demand, user behavior, and competitor pricing. Point 15. Game theory application. Analyze the strategic interactions between platforms, consumers, and competitors in dynamic pricing environments. Consider the potential for price discrimination, price wars, and the impact of algorithmic pricing on consumer welfare. Challenges. Transparency and fairness. Concerns about price discrimination, algorithmic bias, and the potential for opaque and unfair pricing practices. Consumer trust. The use of sophisticated algorithms can erode consumer trust and lead to negative perceptions of businesses. Point 16. Regulation. The development of appropriate regulatory frameworks to ensure fair and transparent pricing practices in the age of algorithmic pricing. Key considerations for Week 5. Application of game theory in economic policy and regulation. Game theory in behavioral finance and financial market anomalies. Game theory in social sciences and decision-making under uncertainty. Game theory in network analysis and cooperative games. The impact of game theory on economic development and globalization. Ethics, fairness, and the social consequences of game theory application. Case studies: 1. Game theory in economic policy and regulation. Case study: Antitrust law and competition policy. Game theory application: analyze how antitrust laws, such as those prohibiting price fixing and monopolistic practices, impact the strategic interactions between firms in a market. Model the incentives for collusion, competition, and innovation under different regulatory regimes. Key considerations: market power. How can game theory help identify and address situations where firms have excessive market power, potentially harming consumers' innovation? How do antitrust regulations impact the incentives for firms to invest in research and development and introduce new products and services? Dynamic markets. How can antitrust policy adapt to the rapidly evolving dynamics of digital markets, including platform competition, network effects, and the rise of artificial intelligence? 2. Game theory in behavioral finance and financial market anomalies. Case study: the winner's curse in auctions. Game theory application: analyze how overconfidence and competitive pressures can lead bidders to overpay in auctions, particularly in common value auctions where the true value of the item is uncertain. Key considerations: behavioral biases. How do psychological biases such as overconfidence, loss aversion, and herding behavior influence investor decision-making and contribute to market anomalies? 1. Information asymmetry. How does asymmetric information among market participants, e.g. insider trading, impact market efficiency and create opportunities for some investors to exploit others? The role of emotions. How do emotions such as fear, greed, and regret influence investor behavior and contribute to market volatility and bubbles? 3. Game theory in social sciences and decision-making under uncertainty. Case study: the spread of epidemics and public health interventions. Game theory application: model the spread of infectious diseases as a dynamic process involving interactions between individuals. 2. Analyze the strategic decisions of individuals regarding vaccination, social distancing, and other public health measures. 3. Key considerations: information diffusion and misinformation. How does the spread of information, both accurate and inaccurate, about the risks and benefits of public health interventions influence individual behavior? Trust and compliance. How can public health authorities build trust with the public and ensure compliance with public health measures? Ethical considerations. How can public health interventions be designed and implemented in a way that is equitable and respects individual liberties? 4. Game theory in network analysis and cooperative games. Case study: the formation and stability of social and economic networks. Game theory application: analyze how individuals form connections with others in social and economic networks, considering factors such as social benefits, economic incentives, and trust. 4. Investigate the emergence of cooperation and collective action in network settings. Key considerations: network effects. How do network effects influence individual decisions and shape the overall structure of the network? Centrality and influence. How can game theory be used to identify key players and influencers within a network? Applications. Network analysis has applications in various fields, including social media, transportation, and the spread of information. 5. 5. The impact of game theory on economic development and globalization. Case study: the role of international trade agreements and negotiations in shaping global economic outcomes. Game theory application: analyze the strategic interactions between countries in international trade negotiations, considering factors such as tariffs, quotas, and intellectual property rights. Key considerations, distributional effects. How do international trade agreements affect the distribution of income and wealth within and between countries? Developing countries. How can game theory help developing countries navigate the complexities of international trade and ensure that they benefit from globalization? Ethical considerations. How can international trade agreements be designed to promote sustainable development, protect workers' rights, and address environmental concerns? 1. Game theory in international relations, arms races. Scenario: two countries engage in an arms race, increasing their military spending in an attempt to gain a strategic advantage. Game theory application: model the arms race as a game where each country faces a dilemma: increase military spending to enhance security, but risk escalating tensions and potentially triggering a costly conflict. Analyze the factors that can lead to arms races, such as fear, uncertainty, and the desire for dominance. Key considerations, stability and deterrence. How can game theory help design arms control agreements and other mechanisms to promote stability and deter conflict? The role of communication. How can communication and diplomacy be used to de-escalate tensions and prevent arms races? Ethical concerns. The ethical implications of arms races and the potential for unintended consequences. 2. Game theory in law and legal decision-making. Scenario: jury decision-making in criminal trials. Game theory application: model the jury deliberation process as a game where jurors must weigh evidence, consider the opinions of other jurors, and reach a consensus verdict. Analyze the potential for biases, groupthink, and the influence of individual personalities on the jury's decision. Key considerations, jury selection. How can game theory insights be used to select juries that are more likely to be impartial and reach fair verdicts? Jury instructions. How can jury instructions be framed to encourage rational deliberation and minimize the influence of biases? The role of evidence. How does the presentation and interpretation of evidence influence juror decision-making and the likelihood of reaching a just verdict? 3. Game theory in social psychology, social dilemmas and cooperation. Scenario: the bystander effect, where individuals are less likely to help someone in need when other people are present. 1. Game theory application: model the bystander effect as a social dilemma where individuals face a trade-off between helping someone in need and avoiding the potential costs or embarrassment of intervening. Analyze the factors that can increase or decrease the likelihood of bystander intervention. Key considerations, diffusion of responsibility. How does the presence of other people diffuse the responsibility to act, leading to a lower likelihood of intervention? Social norms. How do social norms and expectations influence individual behavior in situations where help is needed? Interventions. How can interventions, such as public awareness campaigns and training programs, be designed to increase the likelihood of bystander intervention? 4. Game theory in artificial intelligence, multi-agent systems. Scenario: the development of autonomous vehicles that must navigate complex and unpredictable traffic environments. Game theory application: model the interactions between autonomous vehicles and other road users, human drivers, pedestrians, cyclists as a multi-agent game. 2. Develop algorithms that enable autonomous vehicles to make safe and efficient decisions in real time, considering the potential actions and reactions of other agents. 3. Key considerations, safety and reliability. Ensuring the safety and reliability of autonomous vehicles in complex and unpredictable traffic environments. 4. Ethical considerations. Addressing ethical dilemmas that may arise in autonomous driving situations, such as the trolley problem. Coordination and cooperation. Developing algorithms that enable autonomous vehicles to coordinate their actions and cooperate with other road users to improve traffic flow and safety. 5. Game theory in evolutionary biology, the evolution of language. Scenario: the evolution of human language as a complex system of communication. Game theory application, model the emergence and evolution of language as a result of strategic interactions between individuals. Point 5 Analyze how the pressures of communication and coordination may have shaped the development of grammar, syntax, and other aspects of human language. Key considerations: signaling games. How can game theory be used to model the evolution of signaling systems, such as the use of gestures, vocalizations, and other forms of communication? The role of learning. How do individuals learn and acquire language? Through social interaction and observation. Cultural transmission. How are linguistic features transmitted across generations, and how do cultural factors shape the evolution of language? Key considerations for Week 6, Recap and Synthesis. Review key concepts covered throughout the course, including game representation, normal form, extensive form, solution concepts, Nash equilibrium, dominant strategies, mixed strategies, and applications in various domains. Advanced solution concepts, subgame perfect Nash equilibrium. Explore this refinement of Nash equilibrium, particularly relevant for sequential games, to address the issue of credibility of threats. Correlated equilibrium. Discuss situations where players can observe a public signal before making their decisions, potentially leading to outcomes that are better for all players than any Nash equilibrium. Computational game theory. Briefly introduce computational aspects of game theory, such as algorithms for finding Nash equilibria in complex games and the use of AI techniques in game playing. Limitations and criticisms. Discuss the limitations and criticisms of game theory, unrealistic assumptions, e.g. rationality, common knowledge. Difficulty of applying game theory to real-world situations with incomplete information and uncertainty. Ethical concerns related to the use of game theory in certain contexts, e.g. manipulation, exploitation. Future directions. Explore emerging areas of research in game theory, such as evolutionary game theory, applications in biology, sociology, and economics. Behavioral game theory, incorporating insights from psychology and behavioral economics. Quantum game theory, exploring the implications of quantum mechanics for game theory. Case studies: 1 Subgame perfect Nash equilibrium in business. Scenario: a firm considering entering a new market faces a decision by an incumbent firm, whether to engage in aggressive price competition or accommodate the new entrant. The new entrant must then decide whether to enter the market or stay out. Key concepts: subgame perfect Nash equilibrium. This concept helps to identify credible threats. Point 1 The incumbent firm might threaten aggressive pricing, but this threat is only credible if it is in their best interest to follow through in every possible subgame of the game. Applications: analyzing entry deterrence strategies, competitive advantage, and the role of credible commitments in business decisions. Point 2. Discussion: how can the concept of subgame perfection help firms make more informed strategic decisions? What are the limitations of this concept in real-world business settings? 2. Correlated equilibrium in traffic flow. Scenario: traffic congestion at a four-way intersection. Key concepts: correlated equilibrium. Instead of relying on individual decisions, a traffic light acts as a correlating device, signaling when each driver should proceed. This can lead to smoother traffic flow and reduce the risk of accidents compared to a situation where drivers make independent decisions. Applications: exploring the role of coordination mechanisms and social norms in improving efficiency and reducing conflict in various social and economic situations. Discussion: how can the concept of correlated equilibrium be applied to other real-world situations, such as resource allocation, disaster relief, and the management of public goods? 3. Computational game theory and AI in poker. Scenario: the development of AI systems that can play poker at a professional level. Key concepts: game tree search, AI algorithms use techniques like Monte Carlo tree search to explore the vast number of possible moves and outcomes in a game of poker. Bluffing and deception. AI systems must learn to bluff effectively and recognize bluffs in their opponents, which requires sophisticated techniques for modeling uncertainty and opponent behavior. Applications. The development of AI systems for game playing has implications for other areas, such as robotics, autonomous driving, and cybersecurity. Discussion. What are the ethical and societal implications of developing AI systems that can outperform humans in complex games? How can we ensure that AI systems are used responsibly and ethically? For behavioral game theory and the endowment effect. Scenario: the endowment effect, where people tend to value items they own more highly than identical items they do not own. 5. Key concepts: loss aversion. People are generally more sensitive to losses than to gains. 6. Framing effects. The way information is presented can significantly influence decision-making. 7. Applications. Understanding the endowment effect has implications for negotiations, bargaining, and consumer behavior. 8. Discussion. How can insights from behavioral game theory be used to design more effective policies and interventions in areas such as environmental protection, public health, and consumer protection? 5. Quantum game theory and its potential. Scenario: exploring the potential applications of quantum mechanics to game theory, such as quantum games. Key concepts: quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement can create new possibilities for strategic interaction and cooperation. Quantum computing. Quantum computers may be able to solve certain game theoretic problems more efficiently than classical computers. Future directions. Exploring the potential of quantum game theory in areas such as cryptography, communication, and quantum computing. Discussion. What are the potential benefits and risks of developing quantum game theory? How might quantum game theory revolutionize our understanding of strategic interaction and decision-making? 1. Game theory and the sharing economy. Scenario: platforms like Airbnb, Uber, and TaskRabbit have transformed various industries. 1. Analyze the strategic interactions between platform owners, service providers, and consumers in the sharing economy. Key concepts: platform competition. How do platforms compete for users, service providers, and market share? Pricing strategies. How do platforms set prices, e.g. dynamic pricing, surge pricing, and distribute revenue among stakeholders? Trust and reputation. How do platforms build trust and manage reputation within their ecosystems? Discussion. What are the ethical and regulatory challenges associated with the sharing economy? How can game theory help to design policies that promote fair competition, consumer protection, and social equity in the sharing economy? 2. Game theory in social networks and online communities. Scenario: the spread of information, the formation of online communities, and the dynamics of social influence on platforms like social media. Key concepts: network effects. How do network effects influence user behavior and the evolution of online communities? Information cascades. How can information and opinions spread rapidly and sometimes erroneously through social networks? The filter bubble. How do algorithms and personalized content feeds create filter bubbles that limit exposure to diverse perspectives and can contribute to polarization? Discussion. How can game theory help to understand and mitigate the potential negative consequences of social media, such as the spread of misinformation, the formation of echo chambers, and the erosion of social trust? 3. Game theory in environmental policy, climate change mitigation. Scenario: international climate change negotiations and the challenges of achieving global cooperation to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Key concepts: collective action problems, the challenges of coordinating action among multiple countries with diverse interests and priorities. The role of international agreements, How can international agreements, e.g. the Paris Agreement, incentivize cooperation and ensure compliance? Technological innovation. How can game theory help to analyze the incentives for innovation and the diffusion of clean technologies? Discussion. What are the ethical and equity considerations in international climate negotiations? How can game theory help to design policies that are both effective and equitable? For game theory in healthcare, organ donation and allocation. Scenario: the allocation of scarce medical resources, such as organs for transplantation. Key concepts: matching mechanisms. How can game theory be used to design efficient and equitable mechanisms for matching organ donors with recipients? Incentive mechanisms. How can incentives be designed to encourage organ donation while respecting ethical considerations, equity and fairness? How can allocation systems ensure fair and equitable access to scarce medical resources? Discussion. What are the ethical and societal implications of using market-based mechanisms, e.g. organ sales, to increase the supply of organs for transplantation? 5. Game theory in evolutionary biology, the evolution of cooperation. Scenario: the evolution of altruistic behavior in social insects, such as ants and bees. Point 2. Key concepts: kin selection. How does kin selection, where individuals are more likely to cooperate with genetically related individuals, contribute to the evolution of altruism? Reciprocal altruism. How can reciprocal altruism, where individuals cooperate with others who have previously cooperated with them, evolve in social groups? Group selection. How can group-level selection, where groups with more cooperative members outcompete other groups, contribute to the evolution of cooperation? Discussion. What are the implications of evolutionary game theory for understanding the evolution of human cooperation and social behavior? Game theory, final exam. Instructions. This exam assesses your understanding of game theory concepts, their applications, and your ability to critically analyze and synthesize information. Part 1, short answer, 25 points. Define subgame perfect Nash equilibrium and explain its significance. What is a mixed strategy equilibrium? Provide an example of a game where a mixed strategy equilibrium arises. Explain the concept of evolutionary stable strategy S and its relevance to biological systems. Discuss the limitations of the assumption of rationality in game theory. How can game theory be used to analyze social dilemmas? Provide an example. Part 2, essay, 50 points. Prompt: discuss the application of game theory to the study of language evolution. Analyze how game theory can help explain the emergence and evolution of communication systems. How do signals evolve to convey meaning and facilitate coordination among individuals? Linguistic structures. How do grammatical rules and linguistic conventions emerge and stabilize within a community? Language change. How do new linguistic features emerge, spread, and become established? In your essay, consider the role of social learning, cultural transmission, and the interplay between individual and group-level processes in language evolution. Linguistic considerations for the essay. Biolinguistics. Explore the evolutionary origins of language and the role of natural selection in shaping linguistic structures. Sociolinguistics. Analyze how social factors, such as social networks, group dynamics, and cultural norms, influence language change and variation. Historical linguistics. Consider how game theory can help explain the emergence and spread of linguistic innovations throughout history. Part 3, optional project presentation, 25 points. Option 1, research project. Conduct independent research on a specific topic related to game theory and its applications, e.g. game theory in finance, political science, artificial intelligence. Write a research paper summarizing your findings and providing your own critical analysis. Option 2, presentation. Prepare and deliver a presentation on a selected game theory topic, such as a specific game, e.g. the centipede game, the traveler's dilemma. An application of game theory in a particular field, e.g. economics, biology, computer science. A critical evaluation of the limitations and challenges of game theory. Grading rubric, accuracy and completeness, correctness of definitions, explanations, and analyses. Depth of understanding, demonstrated understanding of key game theory concepts and their application to linguistics. Clarity and organization, clear and concise writing style, well-structured arguments, and effective use of evidence. Critical thinking, ability to analyze complex issues, identify key factors, and draw insightful conclusions. Linguistic knowledge, accurate and appropriate use of linguistic terminology and concepts. Presentation skills if applicable, clarity, organization, engagement, and effective use of visual aids. Note, this is a sample final exam and can be adjusted based on the specific learning objectives and the level of the course. Key considerations for grading: encourage critical thinking and original thought. Reward students for demonstrating a deep understanding of game theory concepts. Assess students' ability to apply game theory to real-world situations and address complex issues. Provide constructive feedback to help students improve their understanding and critical thinking skills.
In the dark we roll the dice, knows just a high price. Whispers echo in the night, shadows of a strategized fight. Choose your move, don't look back, risk and reward in a silent track. Players hidden masks on face in the boardroom of this ruthless race. Gamble hearts put on disguise, trust betrayed by piercing eyes. Twisted fate no one knows, in this game where mystery grows. Risk it all or stake the claim, pawns in an unforgiving game. Clever switches, silent roars, decisions knocking at the doors. In the labyrinth where paths entwine, cunning plans and secret signs. One false move and kingdoms fall, through the maze we heed the call. Focus sharp and move so sly, conquering minds beneath the sky. Victory in a shifting land, held within our grasping hands. Put on disguise, trust betrayed by piercing eyes. Twisted fate no one knows, in this game where mystery grows. Risk it all or stake the claim, pawns in an unforgiving game. Clever switches, silent roars, decisions knocking at the third doors. In the labyrinth where paths entwine, cunning plans and secret signs. One false move and kingdoms fall, through the maze we heed the call.